Amplitude is the latest game to be kickstarted by a fairly large development studio, and the latest that could have only seen the light of day because of crowdfunding. Now it's on PS4, and a whole new generation can experience Harmonix's vision for what rhythm games should look like. But considering just how many people helped make it happen, it's safe to assume there's a lot of expectations going into this one. Is Amplitude everything we hoped for? Let's find out. The concept of Amplitude, like many good rhythm games, is very easy to understand. You are a ship flying down an audio highway of sorts, a physical representation of the song you're playing, with each lane representing one of the instruments. Targets will appear in the lanes in front of you, and by pressing the correct shoulder button in time with the music, you'll clear that target. How Amplitude separates itself from other rhythm games, though, is by keeping you from focusing on one part of the track. Once you clear a sequence of targets, you'll be prompted to change to another lane, and therefore change the instrument you'll have to keep track of to keep the beat. This is called streaking, and every time you do it successfully, your score multiplier increases. Every time you miss a target, however, or leave a lane before you've cleared all of the targets in it, your energy decreases, and if that reaches 0, the game is over. Some stages even have barriers in them that will shave off huge chunks of your health if you don't pass through them with a good enough multiplier. But don't panic. Playing well will also grant you power-ups that can be used on the fly to slow down time, instantly clear one of the tracks, and most fun of all, let you do some freestyling with the instrumentation. Make sure you don't just burn them at any time though, because a well-placed flow or cleanse can save your streak just in case you make a mistake, and that can happen more often than you think. I encountered situations where the next lane I had to switch to was all the way on the other side of the track, outside the camera's view. This, of course, killed my combo more often than not, meaning I was being punished for not acting on information I didn't even have. This happened to me multiple times, sometimes even in the same song, and even when I was being stingy with them, power-ups only did so much to mitigate it. Eventually, I just had to adjust my eyes so that I was looking for where the prompt was going to be long before I actually needed it, and if that's by design, I have two problems with it. First, learning to shift your field of view in rhythm games from where you need to hit the notes to where they're coming from takes a long time to master, and even then, in this case, the prompt is still leaving your sight for a split second. Even if you know it's coming and where it's coming from, there's a chance you won't be able to hit it anyway because you lost track of where it was supposed to be, and that's extremely dissatisfying when it happens. It makes it very easy to feel like the game is artificially amping up the difficulty simply because, unlike most other rhythm games, it deliberately hides prompts from you. This makes Amplitude kinda prohibitive to newcomers to the genre, as well as very difficult to perfect even for veterans, so just bear that in mind going in. The thing is, though, I'm not 100% convinced that it matters. Typically in rhythm games, the rank you get for a song is based off the number of mistakes you make, with the highest ranking only given if you provide a flawless performance. Not so in Amplitude. I was pulling consistent 3-bar rankings and unlocking the bonus songs despite numerous hiccups in the later stages. And that said, there's supposedly an even higher gold bar ranking, which, no matter what I've done, I've never gotten. I've tried playing on higher difficulties, I've avoided using power-ups, and I've gotten 100% of the sequences cleared, but never acquired it. And before you ask, no, there is no in-game explanation how to get it either, so... Amplitude's main attraction is the campaign mode, which is essentially 15 tracks made specifically to complement the unique gameplay style. Before you write it off as just an interactive concept album, though, know that there is a story going on here, as implied by the brief bits of dialogue at the start of the stages, the visuals, and the theme that ties all the songs together. Once I figured out what I was actually doing in this game, it completely changed the way I looked at the trippy backgrounds, and really ratcheted up the tension in the later stages. Without spoilers, it's amazing how the addition of one word can be enough to motivate you to play harder. There are more than a few surprises in store for you if you really analyze this thing, and not just from a writing standpoint either. Even the way some of the stages play out in response to the story sets up an atmosphere that's hard to shake. It's about as involved as a narrative could be in a game like this without getting in the way of the real reason you're here, the music. And this music is the brightest star of the show. Trust me, if Amplitude had a bad soundtrack, we'd be having a very different conversation right now. Because the track system encourages you to listen to and get invested in every piece of the song instead of just the whole, every single stage's music would have to sport deep instrumentation and complex yet elegant composition. And in my opinion, Harmonix really pulled through on that front. Amplitude's selection of electronic can get you pumped, fill you with wonder, and bring you deeper into the world this music builds up all at once. I'll put links to some of my favorite tracks in the description if you want an idea of what it sounds like, but trust me, nothing does justice to playing them yourself. The crazy thing is, the campaign is only half the total tracks in the game, with many more included in free play mode as unlocks, including a couple notable guest spots. You can play through these solo or with up to 3 other players so you can compete for points. You can even play through every song on something called Freak Mode, which turns the normally flat tracks into a tunnel, a la Frequency, the prequel to the original Amplitude. There are also multiple difficulty settings that range from a nice, easy introduction to the concept to absolute freaking insanity. You're really going to earn the trophies associated with Super Mode, let's just say that. And that's about it. That's everything Amplitude has to offer you from beginning to end. Truth be told, I wouldn't hold it against you for thinking that's not worth $20. It doesn't seem like much on the surface, even with the unlocks that encourage multiple playthroughs. It's really going to come down to A, how much you enjoy the core gameplay, and B, the music, which is why I made the point to give you an idea of what those two aspects are like as best I could. So to that end, let me give you my overall opinion. I've been playing rhythm games for almost a decade now, and I've enjoyed everything from DDR and DJ Max to Guitar Hero and Rock Band. Even so, Amplitude caught me off guard. It's based in a concept I'm familiar with, but constantly threw me for a loop, forcing me to adjust and adapt to how it wanted to be played. It was kind of frustrating, but also very refreshing at the same time because of that. From the soundtrack to the visuals and the surprisingly deep story, this is something that really stands out, even amongst my experience. So if you think you could get $20 worth of a good time out of that, it's available for digital download on the PS4 right now. As for me, well, I've got an advanced mode to conquer.